Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're looking at something pretty significant, Nvidia's big move into U.S. manufacturing.
That's right. They're planning new factories specifically for AI supercomputers.
And these aren't just anywhere, two locations planned in Texas, right? Houston and Dallas.
Yep, Houston and Dallas. And it's interesting because, well, this is really NVIDIA's first dedicated U.S. manufacturing for the actual supercomputers themselves.
So not just chips, but the whole system builds.
Exactly. Although speaking of chips, production of their new Blackwell chips has actually started.
Oh, where's that happening?
That's in Arizona at the TSMC plant in Phoenix. So you've got chip production starting stateside too.
Got it. So chips in Arizona, supercomputers in Texas. What's the sort of time frame we're looking at for this to really get going?
The expectation seems to be a significant ramp up for both Arizona and Texas within the next, say, 12 to 15 months, give or take.
Okay, so relatively soon. And this is all tied into that massive investment figure we heard about.
It absolutely is. This is part of NVIDIA's huge $500 billion plan for AI infrastructure. That's over the next 4 years. Just think about that scale.
$500 billion. It's hard to even grasp. And they're not going it alone in Texas, are they? Who are the partners?
No, they've got big players involved. Foxconn is partnering for the Houston site, and Wistron is lined up for Dallas.
Makes sense. Leverage existing manufacturing expertise. Before we dig deeper, if you're finding this interesting, please do hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Definitely. So the big question then is, why the U.S.? Why now?
Well, one theory that's been floated is tariffs, maybe looking ahead. The chips themselves aren't currently hit, I believe.
Correct. Chips are exempt for now.
But the finished AI supercomputers coming out of these Texas plants could potentially face import tariffs if they were built overseas. So maybe building them here dodges that.
That's certainly one angle. Another factor, especially for Texas, is energy.
Ah, right. Cheap natural gas.
Exactly. Texas has abundant, relatively cheap natural gas, which generally means lower electricity costs compared to somewhere like Taiwan, which relies more on imports for energy generation.
And building supercomputers takes a lot of power, I imagine.
A tremendous amount. So yeah, lower energy costs could be a significant advantage.
Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing. Setting up major manufacturing in the U.S., there must be challenges.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for one, the supply chain, it's just inherently more complex to establish here compared to their really established networks in Asia.
Right, decades of optimization over there.
Precisely. And then there's the workforce piece.
Finding enough skilled people. We saw TSMC run into some delays with that in Arizona, didn't we?
We did. Finding and training a specialized domestic manufacturing workforce for these cutting-edge processes,
right,
that's likely to be a hurdle NVIDIA needs to clear as well.
Still, focusing on North Texas for a moment, it does have a pretty strong existing business base.
It does. You've got major companies already there. American Airlines, AT&T, Texas Instruments.
Yeah.
It's a significant hub.
So the hope, I guess, for people in that region is that NVIDIA's arrival could really kickstart something bigger, like a tech renaissance.
Yeah, you hear that phrase, and even things like Silicon Desert. There's definitely optimism about the potential economic impact.
Now, how is this move being sort of interpreted politically, I mean?
Well, it's interesting. You could see how, for instance, the Trump administration might point to this as proof that their tariff strategies worked, forcing companies back to the U.S.
But is that the main driver?
Most experts tend to think it's more about long-term strategic planning by NVIDIA. Things like supply chain resilience, proximity to U.S. customers, maybe those energy costs we mentioned, rather than just a reaction to tariffs.
So it's complicated. And we should probably stress this doesn't necessarily mean all AI manufacturing is suddenly shifting stateside overnight.
Not at all. I mean, the current supply chain is so heavily based in Asia, especially for semiconductors. It's incredibly complex and, frankly, dominant.
And weren't the initial announcements about Texas a little vague?
Yeah.
Like reports of land deals not being immediately confirmed in Dallas?
There was some initial lack of clarity, yes, which just underscores that these are huge, complex plans that will take time to fully materialize.
Right. So while it's a massive investment and a clear signal of intent from NVIDIA, the actual scale and speed of this shift to U.S.-based AI supercomputer manufacturing, that's still something to watch.
Definitely. It's a huge undertaking, trying to replicate or shift parts of that intricate Asian supply chain.
So the big takeaway really is this is a major development, potentially reshaping parts of the AI hardware landscape and the U.S. tech sector. But the full impact, still unfolding. What do you think this means for the long-term balance of tech manufacturing globally? Something to consider.
Indeed. Lots to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for tuning in for this look at NVIDIA's plans. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time.